Okay. Oh, okay. I am live on two different platforms today, so we're just trying to get the hang of all of that. So we are live on Instagram and Facebook today. Thank you for joining us, whichever one you're on. Today we're going to be talking about how to write a check, and this one is more directed to our middle and high school students. So hopefully you are watching and super excited. And then next week, we will be actually having a conversation with a local professional. I'm going to be interviewing them, talking about what they like to do. But today, we're talking about a check. On Wednesdays, we are doing elementary school focus videos, and next Wednesday, we actually will be writing a check as well. But I'm just going to probably explain few things differently, just so they understand what a check is and all of those different things. So I am just going to wait a couple of minutes just so people can join us. Obviously, I'm using this big check here. You don't have to have a big check of your own. I assume that you don't. But I will show you real quickly how to draw a little check on here. Obviously, you don't also want to use a check if you do have some. You don't want to waste one as practice. So you can draw one out on a piece of paper with a pen, pencil, whatever you have. I'm going to walk through the steps of how to write a check and all of those different things. If you haven't already joined us before, please comment your name, what grade you're in, where you're watching us from. Love to see who's here. Hear from you guys. If you have a question during this at any time, please comment. I'll try to answer your questions. Again, I am on Instagram and Facebook, so I'm trying to juggle both of them, but I think I have this set up the best as my ability. So hopefully get your questions answered during the video, if not after. And yeah, I just want to hear from you guys. Have you ever received a check? Have you seen your parents write a check? What do you think the point of checks are? I know they're kind of losing their popularity as we move in the future. So they are still very important. So I'm just going to wait a couple more minutes. I see we have some people with us, so thank you for joining. We are talking about how to write a check today. Yeah, so don't worry if you don't have a big check like mine. We're going to get you all set up. Okay, so I'm going to walk through just real quick how you can draw a check. It's pretty simple. I think we can handle this, but just in case you want some help, so you can just draw a nice rectangle on your piece of paper. You can see it. And then we need a date line, so we're just going to put that in like the top right corner. You can write date next to it. It might help you remember what that line was for. Pay to the order of, I'm just going to write pay because I write kind of big and I don't have that much space. So we have our couple of lines there. Then you can draw a little box, just like my check, and put like a little dollar sign next to it. Hope you guys can see that. I'm really sorry. I'm trying my best. And then we're going to draw a really long line all the way across the check and have dollars at the end. Longest line. And then over here we have a little for memo line. You can write memo under it. You can just leave it by itself, just a little line, but again, it might help you remember what exactly that line was for. I hope you guys can see it, sorry. And then last line for the signature. So a little line there for the signature, just like my big check here. So this way you don't have to waste some of your checks if you have one for practice, and this way you can still jot down exactly what I'm doing so you know how to follow along. So checks are probably a lot less popular than they once were, but they are still very important. I myself have a checkbook. I've written multiple checks, probably not as many as some people may have in the past, but I still write some. I've used it to pay rent. Sometimes people might ask for a check for a security deposit. If you're getting a job, although you don't have to write out a check, you might need a check so you can get direct deposit. So that's very important. For all of the jobs I have gotten for me to get direct deposits, so my money just goes straight into the bank account, I have had to give them a check that's voided out, which means I write void, super big letters on here. So it is still an important thing to have, to know how to do, just in case you're in that situation where you can't Venmo someone. So I also, oh yeah, okay, so we have a couple of needs for them. So I'm going to walk through a couple of steps of how to write a check. So the first step is getting a blue or black pen. So obviously this is practice. If you're just writing on your piece of paper, you don't need this, but so you don't have to run away or panic or anything. But if you are actually writing a real check, it's very important to have a blue or black ink pen. I personally just like black ink pens. They're standard across the board. No one's going to give you any grief for them, because sometimes blues can get a little crazy. The main thing is so that way the bank can read this legibly. It's very visible. That way they aren't trying to read yellow pen or something crazy like that. So blue or black ink pen, that's what you should stick with. It's very important. Also important not to write in pencil, because obviously I can erase pencil. On my big check here, I am going to write an expo marker. So obviously that's erasable, but again, this isn't a real check. So when you're writing a real check, make sure you're using blue or black ink pen, so that way no one can change what you wrote down or anything like that. Okay, so that's step one. So just get in a pen. Step one, super easy. So step two is date the check. So obviously this is very important. If you didn't know this, checks can actually expire. So usually when someone writes you a check, there are a certain amount of days that you have to get it to your bank account, or else it won't be valid anymore. So we are going to date our check here in the corner. What is today? The 14th. Okay, so 5/14/2020. Pretty much this is an okay way to write the date. Sorry, I lost myself on Instagram. Sorry, guys. But if you have a certain way you like to write it, if you would like to write out May, you can. The biggest thing to remember here, and you probably heard about this when we were switching to 2020 on January 1st, is that you should write the date out all four numbers. So it's important because I can easily change. If I just put 20, I could change this to 21. And then it becomes valid for like a whole nother year, which you don't want. You don't want someone to cash your check a year later. It's gonna probably throw you off, maybe think someone's taking your money from you. So you want to make sure people are cashing their checks at a reasonable time. So it's important to write your date fully out with both 20s, just to make sure that it's going to the right place at the right time. So step two is date your check. So step three, we are on the pay to the order of line. So this line here, again, you probably drew that on your piece of paper. So write the first and last name of who you are paying. Obviously, if you're giving a check to maybe Junior Achievement of the Eastern Shore, write out the entire organization's name. Some organizations are weird, so if you ever have a question, I'm sure you can just ask them, who do I write the check out to? They'll give you the details. So obviously, first and last name, very important to write. So we are writing our check out, or at least I am, writing my check out to Mickey Mouse, because I think he's great. So we're gonna So one, my handwriting isn't normally perfect, but also on a board with an expo marker it's even worse, but it's still legible. That's very important. You want to make sure the bank knows who you are sending your money to, make sure it's going to the right person. So first and last name, very important for who you're paying, or the full name of the organization that you were paying. So when I pay rent to my apartment complex, I need to write the entire name of that company that owns the apartments. So that's very important. So we have our date, our name for the person we are paying, and then we want to write the amount in the box. So the little box with the dollar sign, some might not have the dollar sign, but the box is for the number amount that you are paying someone. So that's step 4. So we're gonna give Mickey Mouse, say, $25. Knew that was gonna happen. Okay, so we are writing $25. We are giving Mickey Mouse $25. So we're gonna write that there. Now, what's really important, step 5. So we are going to write the amount in words on this legal line. So this is the line that the bank really pays attention to. They don't really care so much what's in the box. They care more about what's written on the line, so one, it needs to be legible, it needs to be very visible so people can see. So then it's going to be in dollars. There is a trick to this too, so I'm going to get to that in just a second. Okay, so I wrote my number out in words, so 25, that's how much I'm giving Mickey Mouse. I'm not done yet. So this is very important. You are going to then put and then you're going to write the amount of change you're giving them in a fraction. So I am not giving Mickey Mouse any change. He is just getting $25 straight. So I'm going to write 0, 0 over 100. So obviously 100 pennies equals $1. So that's our fraction here. So if I were to change this, not again, please, to say $25.50, I would need to change my fraction. But we're only going to give them $1, so we're going to change it back. There's no change. Now, I have seen this done a couple of different ways, so I know there's kind of like a longer way to write it out, all of those different things. I have done this on multiple checks, and they have gone through. So, I know you can maybe make your line longer, put the 0, 0 all the way over here on the end of the line. Some checks, they might not have dollars written out for you, so then you would have to write dollars out. But this line is very important also. One, the bank pays attention to this line more than anything else, but 2, if I was only to write this on a check, even if I'm doing it in blue or black ink pen, I can change this number. I can easily throw a 1 in it. And now instead of $25, Mickey Mouse changed it, and he's going to get $125. And that's not okay with me. So it's very important that you write your name, the full words out on this line. Again, the bank isn't going to really care about what's in the box. They're going to more care about what's on this line, and again, protects you to make sure that the person you're paying only is getting the amount that you want them to receive. So that's what step number 5 is, super duper important. So number 6, so we have this little line here. My check, it says 4. Some checks, it might have memo underneath or next to it. This is just kind of a way to remember what the check was for. So it is optional. You do not have to write on this line. And if someone gives you a check and this line has nothing on it, don't worry, the bank will still take it. So this memo is an optional line, but it is helpful. So for me, when I was paying my apartment complex rent with a check, I might put rent there. Or I might put happy birthday if I'm sending it to someone. So if you've ever received a check from your grandparents for your birthday, it might have happy birthday on there. Some of you might be graduating, so congratulations. And they might put like congratulations or for graduation or something like that. So it is a place that you can, throw an extra little note in. I know for some parents, you might have to pay stuff for school, so they want to make sure they know what kid that check was for, or let the school know what kid that check was for. It might be for lunch money, it might be for Mickey's lunch money, something like that. So it's just a little note for the person that's getting the check to know what exactly the check is for. So I'm just gonna write happy birthday. I don't really know exactly when Mickey Mouse's birthday is, but we're gonna say happy birthday to him. So the last step here for writing the check is the signature. Obviously, this line is very important so the bank knows exactly how much money you're sending someone, but this line is even more important because this says that I have authorized you receiving this money. So I'm authorizing Mickey Mouse to get $25 from my bank account. So you must sign it. And it should be, signatures are helpful to be in cursive. You might need to practice. I do recommend knowing your name in cursive at least, if not more. But your name, your signature is very important. It shouldn't just be some squiggly line because this is, again, to authorize someone getting your money. If anyone ever gets a hold of your checkbook and your signature is just a couple of bumps on a little line, that's kind of easy to copy, and someone might be able to take those checks and cash them when you did not actually write that person a check. So it's very important to have a signature that is pretty much only yours. Like, not many people could be able to copy it exactly. I know my signature even changes day to day, so it's very important that you have a signature. Now, if you are receiving a check, like many of you may have for your birthday or for graduation, you must endorse it. So you endorse the check that is on the back. So typically on the back of the check, again, mine doesn't have this because this isn't a real check, there will be a line here to endorse it. Many checks now also have a little box that you need to check when you are mobile depositing it. So if you're mobile depositing your checks online, which most people are doing now, you would need to check that box. You might have to write what institution that check is going to, so whatever bank you have, so like Bank of America or something like that, then you would write that down. Some might ask for the date that you're trying to mobile deposit it, so it all kind of depends. Just make sure you read it and write it and sign again on the back, signing that you want this amount of money to go into your bank account. It's very important that you get all of those things done. So I'm going to run through the steps so one more time just to make sure you guys got it. So again, thank you for joining us. Make sure you share this with your friends. We'll be back next Thursday, and we will be talking to a local professional about their job and how they got there and what kind of steps you might need to take, and how to find your job or career that you want to look forward to. Wednesdays, if you have younger siblings who you're doing elementary, next Wednesday will also be a check, but I'll probably explain it a little differently just so everyone can understand. So step one was to get a blue or black ink pen, very important so no one can change or erase your markings. Step two, write the date. Especially for 2020, it's important to write out the whole year. If you want to write out May or whatever month it is, you can, but banks will accept this. The pay of to the order of, write the full first and last name of the person. If it's not a person, write the whole company name. You can always ask someone who to write the check out for. People get that question, so it's totally fine. And then in this box, you're going to write in numbers the amount, and you need to make sure that you make it in decimals and make sure that you include this change if you are giving them any, or if you're not, like I'm not, still put the 00. Then you're going to write out the number in words, so 25, and then I'm not giving them any change, so in 00 over $100. The memo, happy birthday, can be for whatever, graduation, rent, whatever. This is optional. Again, you do not have to write this. And if you get a check that does not have the memo signed, filled out, that's okay. You can still put it in your bank account. And then lastly, your signature. Very important to make sure that you're authorizing the money to go to this person. So that is how to write a check. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I see there were many people that joined me today. I really appreciate it. Hope to see you guys next week, and I'll be pulling a raffle for a junior achievement backpack. So I will see you then. I'm going to try to end both videos.